Hi, parents and students. My name is Jared. I'm a teacher at YOLA. Thank you for taking the time to log in and join me for a few minutes today while I talk about the A2 key writing test. Now, I'm going to talk about what the test looks like, as well as some tips and tricks to help you avoid the common mistakes that can happen during the test. The hope is to give you some useful information to help you feel best prepared for when you write the test. And I really want you to listen carefully, because at the end of this live stream, I'm going to ask you 3 questions that I would like you to answer in the comments below. Okay, so listen carefully. Now, the A2 key writing test is split into 2 parts. Okay, the first part is part 6, and the second one, part 7. Now, the whole thing is 20 minutes. Okay, so you kind of have 10 minutes for each part. Part 6 is a question where students are asked to write a message of about 25 words or more. You will ask to be writing something like a note, an email, or a postcard, for example. Now, what are some common mistakes that can happen during this part of the test? The first one is that students do not write in an appropriate style. Okay, now the best tip for this is to slow down and read the question carefully so that you know 2 things. 1, what it is you're writing, and 2, who you are writing the message for. Okay, so for example, if you are asked to write an email, you will understand how to, like what style you should use to write with, and also who you are addressing the email to. The next common mistake is that students will just respond to 1 or 2 parts of the question. Now, when you are given a question, you are given 3 prompts to write to. So here's an example, okay? You are going shopping with your English friend Pat tomorrow. Please write an email to Pat and say the following: where you want to shop, what time you want to meet them, and what you're going to buy. Okay, so those are 3 things that you're asked of, and the common problem is when students just respond to 1 or 2 of these prompts. So the tip for you to avoid this mistake, again, is to slow down and read the question carefully. Okay, what you can do is plan a little bit. Okay, you can use a mind map or a brainstorm on a piece of paper in which you just write down your ideas for what you're going to say in your email, and be sure to address ideas for all 3 parts of the question. All right, so the next part of the test, part 7, involves students being given 3 pictures and coming up with a short story to explain what's happening in the picture. This is a pretty cool part of the test because you get to use your creativity and come up with your very own story to explain what's happening in 3 pictures. It's kind of like a comic book, but it's your own. So what can often happen? What are some common mistakes in this part of the test? The first common mistake that can happen is when students will randomly write down what they see in the pictures. Now remember, you're not writing down what you see in the picture. Your goal is to write a story about what's happening in the picture. So what you can do, again, is plan your writing and identify 3 main events that are happening in each picture. So 1 event for 1 picture. You can use what you see, but you want to describe what is happening in the story, okay? To get top marks, you do have to write about all 3 pictures. So keep that in mind. You also want to use linking expressions to help connect your ideas so that the reader understands what's happening in your story. So put yourself in the reader's position when you are writing so that you make sure you're writing something nice and easy to understand for your reader. So my next few tips and tricks are for the test as a whole, okay? So the main thing I think that you can do is practice. Practice at home, okay? So for the first part of the test, you can practice writing letters, notes, or invitations about real-life situations. So you can write a letter to your parents apologizing for coming home so late one night. You can write an email to your teacher apologizing for not doing your homework. You can write an invitation to a friend for a birthday party, okay? Practicing writing these kinds of messages will help you feel more comfortable in the test when you write your answer. My next tip for you is for you to become more familiar with the two writing tasks, okay? So Google is always your friend. You can have a look at what emails look like, what postcards look like, what letters look like, and what short stories look like. The idea is that the more we read invitations, letters, emails, and short stories, the more we have ideas in our brains about what we can write when it's our turn in the test. So for email writing, for example, students can read and notice the organization of emails, the greeting, the body of the email, and a farewell at the end. You can also learn some typical phrases for how to open up an email and how to close an email. For short story writing, I would recommend reading a few short stories so that you get some ideas of how stories are explained to readers in a nice, clear way. Okay, so you can practice writing some short stories at home. Maybe you can look up some pictures online to give you some ideas. And remember that there's a beginning, a middle, and an end to your short story. My next tip is super important, okay? Time management. So keeping an eye on the clock or your watch so that you remember that you only have 20 minutes in total to complete both writing tasks. So you want to practice again, planning your writing, writing a draft, and then writing your final version in the test space, okay? Remember that you can practice and time yourself to make sure that you're writing both parts within 20 minutes, okay? And you also want to practice writing answers of the correct length. So again, 25 words for part 6, 35 words or more for part 7. Now, when it comes to grading or scoring your answers, you are graded for content, language, and organization. Okay, so now keep in mind that small grammatical and spelling mistakes are accepted. It's okay to make some small grammatical or spelling mistakes in your test, but to get 5 marks, you must write a clear message and include all 3 pieces of information. So remember, in the email, you are given 3 parts to focus on, and in the short story, you are given 3 pictures to focus on. So as long as you write a nice, clear message about all 3 in each part, you'll get top marks. So that is all the information I have for you today. Thank you so much for listening to me. I want you to stay tuned because YOLA is producing a lot of videos right now to help you at home with your English studies, okay? So again, thank you for joining me. I hope you've had a wonderful time just listening to my tips and tricks and you're feeling prepared for when you write the test yourself. So down below, I want you to write the answer to 3 questions, which I'm going to give you now. First question is, how many prompts and pictures are you given in each part of the test? Again, how many prompts or pictures are you given for each part of the test? My second question is, how can you avoid the problem of writing in an inappropriate style? Okay, what can you do to make sure you write in an appropriate style for your answers? Okay, and my last question is, true or false, minor grammatical errors and spelling errors are not okay. All right, again, minor grammatical and spelling errors are not allowed in the test. Okay, so write down your answers below and write your name as well, okay, so that you can get a free PT code and more gifts from YOLA. Okay, so for further information, I want you to call the following number. You can call us on 028-628-58080. I'm going to repeat that. 028-628-58080. Or you can access more information at www.yola.vn. Okay, so good luck. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.